Okay. We have video, we have audio, and we have Telegraph Go. It is a good day. Welcome, welcome. Good to have you back, brother.
Hello, thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm so happy to commentate the grand finals, the NA ProQuals this year.
So thank
2026, let's go.
I know. So thank you all for watching. As usual, jump in the comments if you've got questions or comments. Here's the plan, which, like anything, is subject to change, right? But the plan is we're going to take a look at the first round game, which was very interesting. I have questions. I'm sure you have questions. Telegraph's got answers. And then we will join the round two game that is now in progress. Which is kind of on a bit of a knife's edge at the moment. So, all right, why don't we take a look at the first round game?
Yeah, so this game, Michael Zhu had black, Qiyou Wu had white. These two players, if you don't know about them, Qiyou is a strong player. He's been active for quite a while. They're both Canadian. Qiyou is apparently an air traffic controller. is that right? In his
If you're wondering
day
why
job for
he's
now?
so calm under pressure, I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah. I've played Qiyou a lot of times. I haven't played Michael, but I played Qiyou in real life in Blitz quite a few times. I think I'm like 2-7 against him, something like that. He's very, very strong. And yeah, Qiyou has a particular style. He really, really likes to outread you. Like everybody likes to outread the opponent, but Chiyu especially. I think this is his favorite thing in the game is to see your plan coming and go one step further beyond your plan and prove to you that it was bad the whole time. I think this is like Chiyu's ideal, perfect, dream way to win the games, and he does it all the time. It's actually really hard to stop him. Um, he's a really, really excellent fighter, and something of just a skill check for Michael in the grand finals, whether his fighting is good enough. Michael, on the other hand, most young players, Michael is a 13-year-old, I believe, something like that.
I think that's
He's a
right.
very
Yeah,
young player.
very young.
Most young players are going to be um, very fighting. So you'd think that it would be sort of a bad matchup for Chiyu. Chiyu's strength is to fight and outread his opponent. But Michael is actually almost inverted to most young prodigies that we see these days. He's a very defensive player, very strategic player, and he has this self-belief that he's going to win at the end of the game if it all goes through endgame and he doesn't make mistakes. If he just plays according to the principles that he knows, he believes he's going to win. This is like really different from most kids who believe that they will win if they trick the opponent. Which, it's another way, but yeah, Michael has been playing some very interesting games this tournament. I believe he has only the one loss to Eric Yoder
Hmm.
so far in the group stage, and Chiyu, on the other hand, is undefeated, entering the grand finals with a 2-0 win over Alan Huang, who was my pre-tournament favorite in the semifinals. That was really impressive. Um,
Both by
both of these plays.
resignation.
Yeah, I mean, Chiyu, when he wins, it's usually by resignation. He's
We're not
he doesn't tend
counting.
to make games look close. Yeah. Actually, I think those two games against Allen were relatively close as far as Chiyu games go. Um, however, yeah, I rarely see him winning with leads of less than 10 points. He's the type of player who's going to press you, who's going to make the game complicated, and so it's honestly, it's one of the hardest matchups for Michael that he could possibly get in the grand finals. I was talking about this. I was thinking about this um, while game one was going on. If you had to pick like one amateur in all of North America who has the best style matchup into Michael the way he plays right now, it might be Chiyu. Like just stylistically, Chiyu I think has a really really good style matchup. Michael's biggest problem are these moments where he gets outread in fights and there's like a +1 extra maneuver, and Chiyu just exploits that to win all his games. That's the number one thing that he does to win. Um, so it's going to be tough, but I think that Michael has a lot of quality in his Go gameplay. I'm actually really excited seeing what he's done. I feel like he's going to be a really, really, really strong player in the future of NA and very possibly right now of North American Go.
Clearly.
So this grand finals super interesting, super super interesting. Okay, so in game one of the grand finals, Michael had black and Qiyou had white. You can see that Michael took some relatively territorial opening variations here. He took a big corner in the bottom right, started to make a big corner in the upper right. Qiyou played this spacey move on the top side. Qiyou's strategy in the opening is often to make a big area and sort of force the opponent to fight in there because he dominates fights. He doesn't really dominate endgames. That's not his biggest skill set. So by playing at L17, he's like inviting inviting black to play at J17 later, invade me later, or else I'll have too big of a territory and it won't be close. That's the way that Qiyou normally plays. But Michael plays territorially, and the game continues. Qiyou with a pincer, try to start a fight, and Michael with the 3-3 invasion, try to get some territory. They played a opening that sort of fits them. Michael played this cut. He might have learned this from one of his teachers. I think this is a pretty good move, particularly when the opponent doesn't have the ladder. So what is going to happen now is Qiyou extends, and then Michael just descends at b3. So the corner is really solidly alive. Even if white would play at b4, the corner would still be alive. And so white wants to capture that cutting stone, but it's really awkward to figure out how, because you can't ladder it. Like, what are you actually going to do? I don't know. What would you want to do here?
As white,
Yeah.
oof. I don't like it. I don't, because I mean, you could try and do some sort of loose ladder looking thing with, H5, but I think that's not going to work. It's
Well, it's what he did in the game. He played it just like that.
Okay.
And according to Michael, it works. I mean, he didn't run out the stone and try to start the fight. I think that the fight probably is just a bit too bold. Like, black thought if he starts the fight, white will probably run out, get the left side territory, get the bottom side territory, and black won't get enough. I think this move works, but it has a little bit of a problem, which is like, how will you continue after you play a h5? So if white adds another move later to kill off the g4 stone, where does it go to be efficient? Maybe black peeps at some point, maybe black just doesn't peep and white just wants to play in that area. It's hard to find a good follow-up of h5, right? Everything looks too slow or too weak. So I'm not a big fan of that kind of move personally. I prefer to play directly from my own stones, whether it's on this side or like emphasize on something that I want myself, so that the next move that I continue with can also be in a good shape, like doing something that I want for myself. So this one, I would consider it a small mistake from Qiyou. It does get the job done to cover it for now, but the shape is really awkward there. Anyway, the game continues. Black took his territory, and white blocks at b4. So again, Qiyou's idea is always, I'm going to have a huge territory advantage unless you fight against me. And when you fight against me, I'm going to beat you, and then I'm going to have a huge territory advantage anyway.
It's a pretty good game plan. It's a very good game plan.
As long as he wins the fights, he wins. And so black has to come in, try to stop that, do something about that. Qiyou just defends for the first moment here. That doesn't mean he's going to defend forever, but it helps a lot to not let black fight down on the side where black would break even more territory of white. In the meantime, black is going to reduce the top side. And white played this knight's move. So this becomes something of a splitting attack for Qiyou, where both groups are weak. The 1 stone and the 3 stones, hard to save those for black. This is a situation where I would have a lot of trouble. I don't know how to handle these types of games where black has a lot of territory throughout the board, but white has so much influence, so much attacking power, and you've really got to nullify it. You've got to take care of yourself. But it's hard to figure out how, right? Like, if you just defend this group, then white will naturally capture the 1 stone on the left side. But if you try to defend that group, then white will naturally surround the 3 stones on the top side. So what do? This is the first big problem that Michael had to solve, and I think he solved it fantastically. I think Michael showed a really, really nice gameplay here. He played the wedge. The wedge is planning to counterattack the white shapes. So after white Ataris and connects, tries to fix himself as well as he can. Black Atari'd like this, and white couldn't connect. He just started defending himself, and black basically naturally just saved himself really, really thickly with those 3 stones. It seems excellent as a result for black. If white would have saved, then black could simply Atari and somehow cut the top side. These stones cannot do anything into the upper left corner, so they'd just be surrounded, and the game would be really, really uncomfortable for white. There's no way that Qiyou would want this to happen. That's why he played on the top side. This was problem solving by Michael involving the opponent's weakness. That's really impressive. It's a really great method by Michael. Exemplary, really. This is textbook way to take care of your weak groups when you have to do something that's not clear. No easy running directions are comfortable. You use the opponent's weakness, strike back against them, make them too busy. I loved it. Qiyou then played this peep. I'm not a big fan of this peep. So Qiyou's biggest problem, the reason why he doesn't win all of his games all the time, although he has been winning all of his games in this tournament, he tends to underestimate his opponent's counterattacks. Not necessarily in the sense of like he doesn't see it coming, but he won't always judge it very thoroughly. So after he peeped here, or like when he was preparing the peep here, obviously he was going to be happy if black just connects because that gives him more power on the top side. This is a thicker shape. He's happy. But he would have known that black is likely to try to counterattack that. Michael played the Atari and then the connect, which means that he has a new target, these stones at A, and a big follow-up move at B, which definitely white has to answer. White has to connect here. So the overall flow here was all planned by Qiyou. I'm sure that when he peeped, he knew that that whole sequence can happen. The problem is that it's probably good for black. And I think Qiyou kind of knows that, but he just doesn't like to respect his opponent's counterattack like this. So overall, like the whole thing is white spent a move, but he got really thick here and he got a little thicker here, but white spent a full move. Black gets the next move. He can play wherever he wants. He ends up thickening himself. From the initial position, white really didn't need to get that much thicker with these places. He could have just played to a new area, gotten more value. But this counterattack, Qiyou will always let the counterattacks happen. He wants his games to be exciting. Sometimes it seems like even more whether he wants them to be actively good for him. Anyway, that was honestly one of Qiyou's like worst moments of the game. After this, Michael played a couple forcing moves on the top side. This thickened white, so that made white a lot more comfortable. I think that there was some misread there. I think Michael intended to do something more active, but just messed it up and backed off. And then he reduced. White played into upper right. So this stole a little bit of territory, and then white tried to take more territory on the bottom. And black played this reduction. So it was aiming at the cutting stone, which white didn't really have an efficient move capturing. Because white felt like that wasn't going to be efficient in the bottom left, he decided to peep to try to make the black group heavier and sort of it justifies your capture of the G4 stone the thicker black is, but black counterattacked. Qiyou is always allowing these counterattacks no matter what. The peep here is asking black to be heavy with those two stones. Qiyou wants to exploit black wanting to attack the bottom side group in order to get more territory on the left side. But black decided not to commit to the attack and instead to push here. I think this is a nice decision by Michael. It shows that he respects how weak his group can be, and he doesn't need to hold on to a potential attack on the bottom side, which wouldn't really have gotten him any territory, even if he cuts that white bottom side group. Qiyou played at P2. So this is a moment which I think defines Qiyou's style a lot. It would have been very easy to just play on the right side, take care of that group, and you would head into an endgame because all the groups on the board are quite thick. Qiyou doesn't like heading into an endgame. That's not his style. So rather than make everything thick on the board, he prefers to do the active way, make everybody thin. So this way, it allows black to counterattack him. And with that counterattack that black is getting on the white bottom side group, the white group on the right side is getting much, much more attackable. Still, since black had a weak group over here that he had to fix, he had to try to link up to. White does get the chance to defend it, but the game is still more in the balance. It's like more fightable than it would have been if he had done an easier endgame method. Michael played the top side. So at this point, it's been quite a while, and I think Michael wasn't feeling that good about the game since white has a big territory here, quite a few big potential territories, and black's corners are starting to look really quite small. There's just not that much territory left in each of these corners, maybe only the upper right. He wanted to get a little bit more territory out of the white topside weakness. And so he played this Hane, and he had a very nice idea to combine it with a cut. So from a tactical perspective, this works really well with a cut here. The cut, Sumego grand sequence is actually working, and white cannot capture this stone. He chooses to extend, because if he captures, then when black connects, Ataris and connects like this is threatening to play the Atari and to save at B, which would obviously cut these stones, and black would be in an amazing winning position. So white had to give up his 2 stones and allow black to capture them. So from a tactical perspective, this was wonderful for black. He used all the cuts, gave white the territory he was going to get anyway, and he spent his move to capture the 2 white stones. But on a strategic level, on a speed perspective, this actually wasn't very good for black, because there just wasn't that much space. Even though you capture these stones, black already was really, really, really thick on the outside of them. So all he actually gained is the territory under the stones, a little bit of territory in the corner, and he gave white quite a bit of thickness on the top side when white got to capture that stone. In order to spend a full move on something like this, you need to gain more. You need to gain more space so that you're clear that your tactical win was not just a tactical win, but a strategic win as well. So from here, Qiyou had a slight advantage, and he just head straight into endgame. He was playing this monkey jump. This is a little early for a monkey jump, right? Most people are going to play in the center, on the sides of the boards without the monkey jump. But the monkey jump came first for Qiyou.
I mean, if you look at where can black get territory, right? I mean, it's interesting. There's not a lot of options.
Yeah. I mean, the borders are all near relatively thick groups, right? Like the only majorly weak areas are this area and that group. And so it makes sense to generally go towards those areas. And Qiyou certainly doesn't want to commit to cutting something like this. So he just tried to take care of his group here with pushing in the border as much as he could with the monkey jump. It's quite dubious. And I think that Michael has a feeling that you're not supposed to monkey jump here. I think he tried to punish this monkey jump pretty hard, because Qiyou ignored at this moment, which is somewhat an odd moment as well, to ignore the monkey jump. This whole sequence was a little weird, a little offbeat by Qiyou, but the push is reducing the eye space of this black group in the corner, and it's obviously also a very big move in terms of territory. The corner is big. I feel like Michael at this point thought, this guy is playing too territorial. This guy's not playing the endgame the right way. The middle has value in the beginning of the endgame. While, nobody has actually gotten in here, if I just block off the middle, then I could actually get a lot of points. It's not just a couple coins, 5 points, 10 points here or there. It could be a lot. So we chose to cut like this, really aggressive play from Michael. And the idea was that you shouldn't save that stone because your group over here is quite weak. You just abandoned it, and you even played the monkey jump to sort of make it weaker. White has to play Atari from behind and push from behind and push from behind. And this usually is terrible for white, because black gets a lot of influence to the center. This is a lot of extra coins, right? In terms of an endgame, black has just gained a lot. And white is sort of cowering. The space white is making is very small in comparison. However, this is one of those moments that I mentioned where Qiyou outplans you. He says, okay, I have a feeling that you are going to want that cut. I think this Q2 is exactly because he thought, I want to be careful about the cut in a very indirect way. So he played Q2, allowing black to cut, because if black cuts, he can push from behind, push from behind. All of these are very forcing. And then after he pushes from behind a few times, he can cut at N4. And this is really strong. So this is Qiyou's moment where he reads just one move deeper than you and analyzes just a little bit further than you and beats you. there's almost nothing for black to do the moment that this cut at n4 happens. It's already extremely difficult just to take care and figure out how to save this group. So in the game, Michael played the tiger's mouth first. He manages to connect his cut at m6 in Sente. White needs to fix that. But then when he has to save the corner, and he can play one more Sente move, he has to do it in some active way. He plays the Hane and Descend here, trying to sort of capture race that group, or at least use its weakness. He does that because if he would just fall back to take the corner, then this becomes an L shape. The L shape is dead. Even if black gets the first move, there's nothing that black can do to live. So since he knew that was the L shape, he chose to play at t6 instead, get some counter attacks, some counter fighting, but it allows white to play into the corner. The jump into the corner just steals all of the black space, and black has nothing to do except to try to use the shorter liberties of white. So he throws in. These are all very comfortable throw-ins, right? Everybody likes to throw in and throw in. White connects, and black, you can see now, even though he got the throw-ins, which generally gain you a lot of liberties, he has nowhere near as many liberties as this white group does. This white group has just so many outside liberties out here that black would need to reduce. There's no way that group is going to die first. So black has no choice but to make this ko to save the group in the corner. And obviously white is going to be happy to start this ko, because this is what we call a picnic ko. It's just a free ko for white. There's nothing that black can really do. Either you're going to allow, so you could live and allow white to be the first one to play outside. I don't even know what white would do. It's just of territory for white, completely unacceptable. And so black blocked it. But then you have to find co-threats, and white is still just going to play massive co-threats. That one was threatening the same thing to break through. Eventually, black ignores this one. So he pushes in first to make sure white wouldn't get an eye there, and then captures. White gained the entire upper left corner territory, which should have been black's territory, right? It switches hands. It's not just I took your territory away or I built my own territory, but it's both of them, which is obviously really big. And all it cost was making black thick down here. And since white still has the Atari at A, white is also just alive on the right side. From here on, the game was basically over. I think Qiyou had like a 15-point lead. And we actually saw Michael in the semifinals come back from a 15-point lead in the endgame. But Qiyou, I think he probably saw that and decided to be extra careful. He just jumped here, right, instead of playing Hane. So you could have played Hane, and then normally that would just get you more space, but it would be a little bit less clear what exactly was going on. He just jumps to make it as solid as possible, to make it as confident as possible. He just jumps into the center everywhere. He just reduces. Nothing happened for the rest of the game.
I want to go back. I want to go back for a sec, because in that co-fight, everybody knew what was going on, and everybody's looking. There are much bigger co-threats on the board. Like you could threaten the lower left corner, for example, right? And
right.
It's so. Can you talk about why what you made the choice? I mean, I loved it. I thought, I'm a real fan and student of the end game, and I thought it was a brilliant thing, because it was just like, to me, it was, this is simple. It can't, basically, Michael couldn't turn down this offer, because to me, there were bigger things that could be threatened, right? So it's like, all right, we'll take this. I'll be behind, but I'll fight back. That was sort of my.
Yeah, in general, we should play the co's which lose the least amount of value first. This ko threat does lose some amount of value, but it's actually probably less costly than ko threats like AB or CD, which would be threatening to kill the bottom left corner, because those threats allow black to be thicker after black answers. And so you'd rather keep that to be somewhat weak. Actually, as we saw in the game, Qiyou, he didn't just win the middle of the game and the fighting there. He actually won the end game as well, where he managed to eventually make this black group in the bottom left into a a seki by threatening it with his great move at d1, and then jumping here and filling the outside liberty. Black eventually just answers in gote to make seki. So white made seki in sente in the bottom left corner. Um, Objectively speaking, I don't think black had much more to do. But that kind of endgame resource would have been gone if, at this point, for your co-threat, you chose to play f2 and eventually you let black to capture that, or if you chose to play at a3. So in general, we want to play the co-threat, assuming that the opponent will continue to fight the co, where we don't lose as much value as possible, and where they answer. Especially as long as you know that the co-threat, when you follow up on it, you're going to get a winning game. Like, really, we're trying to fight the co in order to win, right? We don't actually want to win the co, we want to win the game. So since he knew that if he played at b16 and c16, that these moves would be enough for him to have a confident advantage into the end game, is more than enough for a co-threat, right? You don't need to have your co-threat to be the biggest, just big enough. Big enough and least bad is the best co-threat in general.
Yeah. The other interesting thing was that black was trying to get back in the game by, to your point from earlier, trying to maximize the territory on the right-hand middle side. And there's a very interesting decision point that you actually spent some time thinking about. It's an interesting problem in terms of how to play. Yeah, because there's ways where you could really get yourself in trouble, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're talking about later on as black played here, right? Black played here to block off this area. So what Qiyou did was he checked, okay, I feel like I should be able to enter into that area, right? It looks like it has so many weaknesses. I feel like I should be able to do something. And then your first intuition is to jump in, right? But a lot of people see, oh, I can jump in, but my opponent could capture my stones if I did so, and they'll not do it because the opponent could kill them. So I don't really want to go in at the cost of my stones, do I? But the answer is that yes, you do. And in fact, Michael aptly realizes he's not even supposed to go and capture those two stones on the top side. In general, when you are way ahead, or even just when you're trying to problem solve for anything in Go, most of the time, your problem is that you're attached to something. You can't let it go, but you want to do something else. So in this case, the goal is to go in to the upper right area, but we're feeling attached to the two stones. And then the solution is to disattach every single time. If you disattach from what you're trying to hold on to, it frees you up to do what you actually want to do. So black, wanted white to stop it from going in deeply. Black wanted white to feel fear and to eventually just sort of fix it for black in some way. But white successfully disattached from the top two stones and just made sure to focus on what actually matters. And then black is forced to focus on what matters as well and follow him and end up reduced all this way. It's very nice. I sometimes call this concept under expecting, because a lot of people will have oversized expectations. I should be able to reduce that and keep those and cut him and attack that. Like
it's the cake, have your cake, you need a two strategy.
Yes. A lot of people have too high expectations, including me. It's just natural, right? Like you want to keep all the stuff you used to have and get more stuff too. But if instead of that, you say, I don't have the stuff I used to have, and let me obtain something, and what you obtain could be what you used to have, or it could be something new, then it frees you up to get the new thing if it's actually just bigger and better. So that's why A is actually, I think it's a relatively easy move for a player at Qiyou's level, although he spent some time thinking and making sure he
it's actually
just
to underline your point, it's actually pretty calculable, right? I mean, if you look at, like, if black seals that off, it's worth 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, like 12 plus points roughly, I guess, maybe even more, maybe 15, right? So and it's in Sente, I think. So it's 12, let's call it 12 in Sente. And and then you get to subtract the 2 for how do you call that? What, 6 points for black? But black has to go get those.
Yep.
So it's actually it's 12 minus 6. So it's a 6-point advantage. Is my math?
But it's actually just Sente.
It's just
like when
Sente,
white
okay.
plays here,
I'm overcomplicating it, aren't I?
Black has to answer all these things. Black can't let you keep breaking into the massive area. It's so big. So you get to break all of this stuff effectively for free. And then at the end, you get to decide whether you want to keep the stones at A and spend a move or not. And Qiyou said, you know what? No, I don't want to spend a move keeping them. I'd rather cut you, get a couple extra coins here, a little bit of extra endgame in this side, take the left side. Yeah, one thing I found instructive was that Qiyou chose not to exchange this early. I thought he should exchange like that in order to make sure that black cannot play the Hane Connect, so he gets an extra 2 points, reduces black. He chose not to do that. I think it was intentional because he decided that this way, when he plays later that Hane Connect, that there would be a Sumego here, that he would be able to make some kind of Seki. So the Hane Connect on the bottom side became, effectively, it should have been white Sente. White was supposed to get an answer from black here, something that would make sure that black didn't suffer to D1 as what actually happened in the game, which is obviously tragic. So I think in the end here, Qiyou won this game by 14.5 points. It did actually go to counting, but like most Qiyou games where he wins, if it goes to counting, it's mostly because the opponent didn't resign rather than
and that score didn't change for like 60-70 moves. I mean, it just it really I was just tracking it, and Michael would claw back a few points, and then Qiyou would get them back. I mean, it never changed more than a few points. It was I felt for Michael because it was like, damn.
Yeah. Qiyou was definitely trying hard in this endgame. He saw what happened to Jasper losing an unfortunate endgame after winning in the middle game, and he did not want that to happen to him. So, yeah, this game was a very professional game by Qiyou. From Qiyou's perspective, I really think he played it very, very well. Just some, little problems in the early middle game fighting, but when it came to the critical moments, when he plays P2, that suits his style so well. And when he allows Michael to cut at Q9, it's so tempting. And you wouldn't know that Q9 is the type of move that's going to pretty much instantly lose you the game. It's so hard to fight back after this happens. So, yeah, Michael probably was unsuspecting to the idea that basically after this move, he had no chance left in the game ever since here. Really well done by you.
Wow, really well, but well played by both, and kudos to Michael, because you got to hang in there, you got to fight, and it's good fighting.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Cool. All right, let's take a look at the second round. Actually, I think you've got it up,
right? I've got it up. I can share with you in just a moment here.
Review started.
So here.
Got it. All right.
So in this game, Qiyou has black and Michael has white. I think Qiyou is one of those players who actually prefers black, just his style. He probably does better with black, even though in AGA rules, as we're playing, we have 7.5 Komi for white, which is often, just a tiny bit too big. So if you check Katago, it'll probably tell you white starts the game at a minor advantage. But at human level, that doesn't matter so much. I think Qiyou enjoys to be able to control the game, have the first move to decide what's happening in the opening. Yeah, in this game, they played some relatively standard Joseki. White played on the right side rather quickly. It's to stop Black from making a big moyo like he did in the last game, right?
And then I meant to, before we got into it, I meant, so, I'm a big one for watching body language. I spent a lot of time recording top games, and you can learn a lot from watching the players. And I know, Go players are not necessarily the most emotional or readable, but Michael definitely, looked disappointed, after his game. And when he came back, I was watching the video feed. He had come in the first round, and literally he came in right at 9 o'clock on the dot. Qiyou was there like
Mhm.
20 minutes early, set up, all ready to go. Michael came in exactly at 9 o'clock. For the second round, guess who was there early?
Must have been Michael.
Oh yeah, he was there. He was, he clearly had, he kind of looked like maybe he'd had I'm sure he didn't have a cup of coffee, but he was getting his pillow. He was getting all set. And he really looked like he was kind of loaded for bear. That's just my reading of the body language. But can you talk about, as a top player yourself, if you got a situation like this, and this is a do or die game for Michael now, right? I mean, if he loses, he's
Yeah.
out. That's it, right? So,
Yeah.
playtime is over, right? So, how do you bounce back from that emotionally? After losing that, he knew he'd lost fairly early in that game. He fought on. Good for him. But how's he coming to round two?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I honestly have never successfully done it to recover from a big tilter and continue to play the best of my abilities after that. So I don't know how good of a, of a game plan I could give, but yeah, I would imagine that he would go back, get a pep talk, clean his mind up, clear his mind up. I think in that first game, um, it was so close to being a Michael style game, but it turned out to be a Qiyou style game where the fighting got a counterattack, and there was no way for Michael to, resist the setup that Qiyou had for the fight. Um, that kind of happened because there was this leftover black group from reducing the Moyo at the beginning of the game, and that kind of happened because Michael had gone for 4 corners at the beginning. And of course, you can get 4 corners and then reduce everything, play the game, win an end game. I think that's the style that Michael is probably pretty comfortable with, but it's not a very good style against Qiyou because it allows him so much outside influence, which gives him control over the game. And Qiyou loves to be able to go for some strong strikes without you being able to counter strike. So we see in this game immediately, like Michael, he is 3-3ing, but when Black comes in, he's not playing the double Hane variation to get the corner back. And when Black has this sort of, it's not a real threat on Amoyo on the right side, Michael is going in right away anyway, split the shape early. I think Michael is ready to play a more balanced game this time. I feel like if I were Michael in that last game, I would think I hadn't gone to show my full power, right? There was just this one trick, and then the rest of the game is relatively forceful, and you just don't have a way out. For me personally, that's like, come on, the game isn't supposed to just end. This is a 300 move long game of Go. If I make a mistake on move 106, I shouldn't just like lose the game and end on the spot. I should be able to fight back and get some chance back. So I think that this time Michael is committed to going for a more balanced strategy in a longer game, and he probably feels confident that he didn't get to show his full game power in game one, and game two. This is when we're going to see Michael at his most confident. Actually, that
All
would
right,
be my guess.
good. Let's take a look at it.
Yeah. So let's see. So how will Qiyou respond to this more? It's not aggressive approach exactly from Michael, but more balanced approach. He continues to go for large areas. So it's just a good thing to do in general, to try to outline a big area and force the opponent to do something about it. White played to continue on the right side, sort of attacking this 3-stone group. It's a common shape. We see this a lot of the time. Black is going to run out. As long as you can't surround those stones, they're not going to be in big trouble. However, they do get surrounded sometimes. They're usually going to be fine. They're usually going to be fine. But I like this white move to 2-space out. From Black's perspective, you really don't want to run those stones towards the top side because white already has a very, very thick shape. You're not going to get any territory on the top side. So it would have been much better for Black to run them out over top of the white group, and white is stopping that by playing this 2-space jump. Black just sort of has to thicken himself and wait. So Michael, also waiting, plays this move on the bottom left. It's a bit of an unusual move, but it's okay. You can play pretty much anything at this stage of the game. Black jumps up. He has a clear plan of building the bottom right, covering too big of an area. White's just going to walk towards that. The gentle knight's move. You can see why d9 is a bit unusual. Wouldn't really want it here if you're going to play it from the bottom side. But anyway, the game continues. This is a standard follow-up as well for Black. Usually this Black group gets really, really thick if you have the tiger's mouth there. And white takes the corner enclosure in the upper left. Black puts pressure on the group. So he could have chosen to play to invade the upper left or to continue to build the bottom side, but Qiyou would rather touch his opponent's weakness, figure something out. And the biggest problem with 2-space jumps in general, the reason why high-level players are playing 1-space jumps, even though they could 2-space and not be cut and not be killed, is this type of problem where you just have to add another move. And then what move do I add? It's so awkward. White plays here first, Black plays the Hane Tiger's Mouth, and white feels compelled to add another move just to stop Black from getting some kind of strong cut. This is the problem with playing the original 2-space jump. If white had chosen again, he would rather have, instead of these 2 stones, to have these 2 stones. That would have been more satisfying. But this is how it goes. And now Black goes back to invade the upper left. So just that kind of asking move. Once Qiyou sees that his opponent is thick, he will not continue to fight against it. He's good at, stopping himself, only attacking the opponent's thinness and trying to make sure that there's something actually active going on. In the meantime, he's going to go and break a lot of territory here. It's a very satisfying variation to get to play usually. Now white does not have the left side. It was a little interesting that white actually decided to block an Atari. This Black group is now pretty thoroughly alive. It's often better.
Yeah. No, I wondered about. I looked at that sequence, and I thought, well, I would play that, but that is probably so. It seems so tight and heavy, right?
Yeah. The main problem is that white doesn't care about d15 and e14 himself. So these moves would be fine moves if that was what white wanted to do. Like white wants to run out to the center and get movement for his group in the corner. But you don't want that. Like the group in the corner is fine. That group is not going to die. There wasn't going to be a big problem there. And so when you give Black something that he wants, like Black really wanted to take care of this group more. This group is not 100% okay for Black on the left side. If you give Black something that he wants a lot, but what you take is something you really don't want that much at all, I mean, influence towards the top side, what's that going to do into this kind of thickness, right? It's just nothing. It's probably just bad exchanges for white.
Good timing here.
Yeah, I like this timing. If he does get influence in the upper left, then you definitely don't want Black to play T18 and be like very strongly alive. So yeah, it makes sense to play Atari, and it's just a big territory move as well. Black played the push here, which white blocked, and Black jumped into the bottom left. I like this move a lot. I think it's underrated. A lot of players at double-digit Q level will play this against you, right? I think everyone has the experience of being a double-digit Q, and the opponent just jumps into your territory, and you're like, that's annoying, but okay, they only reduced a couple points, and then they jump in again, and you're like, that's annoying, but and then suddenly they've jumped into your whole territory, and you've nothing left, right? Yeah, as a double-digit Q, you often feel like this doesn't happen in higher level games. I must be doing something wrong. At least that's how I felt when I was a double-digit Q and this happened to me. But it actually turns out a lot of the time it's good, and it should happen in high-level games. Like, you should just reduce all your opponent's territory. There's not really a great counterplay to white a lot of the time. The best benefit white can get is thickness out of it. So you could like press it down. You could jump here, cover it. That's what Michael Zhu does. But it becomes really thick here. That is useful, but it's not that useful. There's not that big of a box, right? So it depends on how useful the thickness is. The jump is pretty bad when the thickness is useful for white, but when it's a situation like this, white wants to answer, but still, even when white answers, the thickness is not that useful. The jump at b5 is just sort of a good exchange, right? I don't see a problem with it at all. It seems really good.
I think one of the key things about it though is not to get carried away and think, well, one thing worked. Let me push some more.
Right.
It's-
Yeah, black is going to play away now for sure. Because if you continued to push like this, then black would actually just be donating thickness to white for free, and you can just wait and still do that in the end game most of the time. So yeah, in the chat they're saying I think white could have Tanuki'd. Yeah, didn't have to answer at c6. I totally agree, because normally you only answer this kind of thing when you're trying to demonstrate to black that you gained more in thickness than black gained in territory by reducing you. But in this case, that just doesn't seem realistic. Like that means that you would say that if black follows up, black is going to be seriously attacking these groups and like splitting attacking them, which, considering Qiyou could happen, like maybe that's real. So I can understand why Michael would play here. But objectively speaking, there was probably something better to do on the board. Anyway, black chose to run out from the right side. So obviously this is aiming at attacking that group, but it's also aiming at the big box. Qiyou loves his big boxes. As well he should. And white jumped out, and black peeped, and he peeped again here. This is a moment which we were actually discussing before we got on air. Yeah, this is really interesting what black is doing. He's harassing this white group. As you guys know, Qiyou will always look for a harassment, which you have to counter against him. And if you can counter well, it might be good for you, but you have to find exactly the right way. Michael was looking for it. He played this peep, which I think is a really good move in response, and black wanted to connect. And when Michael pushed here, Qiyou thought for some time. We saw that.
Mhm.
And eventually he chose to play the cutting move, which I think is a little bit immature. But the reason why he did it is because if he just answers, then he probably thought, wait, covering my stone is not fun. In this way, white managed to become really, really, really thick, capturing a stone. It looks like the kind of variation where black has lost something. But the good news for black is that black also gained something. He got a lot of power over here, and it's getting pretty close to being able to block off this whole bottom side. So I would personally have probably played like this and continued some way, somehow. Instead, Qiyou played to save the cutting stone. And so the goal here is to actually go for some kind of aggressive cut on white. Because if you just saved, then white would be able to connect, and you wouldn't be able to block very cleanly. There's lots of cuts remaining after that. So this has to be the plan. But when white played here, I think Qiyou thought for quite a while again.
Long time.
Because this doesn't look like it's very good for black. This is sort of how Qiyou loses his games, is he'll go for something aggressive. And if you just answer, right? Like if white would have just fallen back here, then black gets something kind of for free. Honestly, it still wasn't that great. I don't think this 014 was a good move from black, but he got a little bit of extra thickness, a little bit of extra movement, and now he's ready to go and build with a better shape. And then when white will counterattacks, this is exactly how you can beat Qiyou. You counterattack, you get a fight where everybody's weak, and eventually you just have to outfight him. That's the only way that Qiyou loses. In the game, yeah, Qiyou eventually decided to cut here, because if he would have played to save the 3 stones directly, white could connect, and if you cut, then that exposes an additional cutting point over here, which is really, really painful. If you have to save that, that means that your 2 stones in the center can be netted with this move at 6. I don't know whether that's even the right thing to do, though. Honestly, there might even be better moves. It's definitely good for white. The cut, although it kind of succeeded, it's really failed if you're that weak in the center with white getting the next move. And so that's why black chose to cut here instead. This was the critical moment. This was the critical point that he had to play. And white countered with this push. The natural and obvious move would have been to block like this. And obviously Michael saw this. But the problem is if you go like that, black gets a very clean block on the right side. This is so satisfying for black at the end of the variation to be building up this. However, you shouldn't get obsessed over just the end of the variation and consider the entire variation here. If you think about all of what happened, black was like trying to cut white, and then white just has a big thick wall right in the middle where black is trying to cut, and there's no cuts whatsoever. It's completely thick. Additionally, white has sente. So even though black gets this block, this is just like a significant downgrade for black over the variation which I was suggesting, where we could just play on the outside. This would have been way better for black, where we don't kill ourselves. And so here white could have just accepted and been happy, but he resisted. He played like this to change the game state, and that's because he didn't want black to cover an area. So when black Atari'd and connected, white could run out, break the area, but in doing so be split into two different groups.
Is this consistent with your point at the beginning that do you feel like Michael is this is more Michael's kind of game now?
So it's definitely a more balanced game. And frankly, through here, I would say everything has been going just fine, like how Michael could plan. Because Qiyou, in a balanced game, he's overreaching. This is the kind of thing which Qiyou would be able to do if he had given away all the corners and had all the influence everywhere. But because it's a more balanced game, it's more unreasonable to go into this kind of variation, and it would have just failed if Michael would be patient. But really, like strategically, your tactical decisions have huge strategic ramifications. Strategically, the game has completely changed due to the decision of white to play the push instead of playing the connect. It's an entirely different game state. And I think that the game state is not only maybe a bit worse objectively, but it's also a Qiyou type of game now. Again, I feel like when Qiyou connects here, he's thinking, oh, I'll long-term attack that. I'll long-term attack that. I'll take care of my group. I'll build this area naturally. Qiyou is at his best when he has initiative to play everywhere he wants to play. And this game is leading much more towards that than it was just a moment ago. I think that Michael's opening strategy was fine, but we're we're headed out of control. So yeah, Michael's just gonna jump. This is a good start. I like this move. Take care of your group. Force black to answer. He covers the right side territory. Makes sense to cover it. White just continues to take care of his group. Black runs his own group out. In this situation, it's important for Qiyou to try to get Michael to run towards the bottom side, because this group is so strong, and this is also quite strong. So the bottom side is a very not valuable area, valueless area. And so the more stones that Qiyou can kind of convince Michael to play over there, the more stones that Michael is playing, which are wasted. And on the contrary, yeah, black stones towards the center, you might say there's no territory here, but it's a very active area. There's a far bigger value here because of a weak white group, right? So that group gives black the rights to do all sorts of things in the center. And the weak black group itself is also important to play. So this area is actually way hotter than it might look. And this area, not very important at all. That's why Qiyou is forcing Michael to answer to this area. Otherwise, he could continue to surround and attack this group. So I like this direction of play a lot. I think this is a well done move by Qiyou here.
And you suggested that he's got half an eye on the upper left white group, which is not really attackable, but maybe could be attackable.
Right. I mean, there's, yeah. When Qiyou is playing, everything's attackable. There's always a way.
Nothing is safe. Bring your children in.
Yes. There's always some way. So in the game, Michael's going to be patient and defensive, which is making a lot of sense. He just runs. He follows Qiyou's plan. And Qiyou played this capping move.
Woohoo!
Yeah. Attack. Attack, attack, attack. Honestly, I think this is a bit too much, like a little bit too far. It's not really possible for white to resist immediately, so it's going to back off, because if white plays here, I think black could just cover. Because black had pushed white back over here, black has enough backing thickness that white doesn't have any good options to go cut through and break through. So that was like the point of what he did on the bottom side. He got more thickness, he gets to do a stronger move, gets to put pressure on this white group. And white backed off, so it worked, this first step. But I don't like how he continued. This is the last that I saw before we had to start commentary. This continuation pushes white to the top side, which hurts his own black group. That can definitely get counterattacked. And it's just not that useful to have 3 stones here. Like the the stones over here before, which I was saying, they're doing nothing. They're just looking at a strong black group. Well, suddenly we're fighting right in front of them, right? Suddenly we're sort of activating white stones, and it's the black stones which are not doing that much. And black actually went all the way through and continued to cut. So this would work. This would be good if you could surround this white group. I just don't see that happening. And so as long as white eventually squirms out, all of these stones are going to be next to a thick white group. Like once white becomes strong, then they're all going to be next to a white group which is strong on the right side after it becomes like that. And it's also strong on the left side. So that means that all these stones are basically useless. They're not that good. So it would have been better probably for black to restrain himself from continuing to press here. Maybe he could have immediately played on the top side, something like this, and allowed white to continue to push in, and you could still take some profit this way. I don't know. There were many ways actually you could do it, but just this way was a little too straightforward out of Qiyou. White plays a forcing move. That was a probe to see how black was going to respond. Black connecting here means he's aiming at some short liberty tricks. And white cuts across. So no matter how white could cut across in some way and manage to save himself in some way, black is going to let it happen like this. Wow, and white cuts again. Aggressive.
There was a long black thought for a long time after this move, a really long time. Can you explore some of the possibilities here? I was trying to figure out what black was thinking about.
Sure. So one way would be to cut and then Atari like this. This is a very basic way. Obviously, white can't save the stone because of a net. It looks like you're putting pressure on this cut on the top side, right? But he might have been worried that he wouldn't be able to kill it if white chose instead to play this vital point. So in this case, when you cut like so, then white has a forcing move and then an additional eye here. So white would have 2 eyes, and this black group would not have 2 eyes. That's not good. the black group does not look alive.
That's why you're 6 on, dude. Two eyes against no eyes. Yeah, that's bad. Not good. All right.
Yeah, not good. So if we come back here, of course black wouldn't be able to actually cut at A after this one happens, but then if you can't cut, then this white group is going to be safe anyway, and you're just going to die anyway. So the point is that you don't have time to come back and capture that stone, even though you could put your stones there. Okay, so then a natural way would be to play on the top side like this, which is what he actually did. This means that black is obtaining some eye space on the top side. That's very pleasant. You want to get more eye space to take care of a group like this. However, on a strategic perspective, the game plan can't possibly have made sense to put 3 stones here and then just thicken white and headbutt into it. You know, if these white stones were put down first and then black played these 3 stones, you disqualify him from the ProQuals on the spot, right? Like you wouldn't if it were the other order around.
You're gone.
Don't even let him continue the game. Just disqualify him right there. Obviously, in the order he played it makes a little more sense, but not that much more sense. And so Qiyou is definitely not happy to play into this kind of variation. He would have been thinking about some magical way to resist it, but I don't see it. And I guess he couldn't find a good resistance either. And so he could do nothing but come in, break the top side. I mean, at least we're breaking some territory. But just in terms of the flow, which Qiyou is very, very sensitive to flow. It's the word that we use to describe this strategic comparison, what I did compared to what you did, what is better. Qiyou is very, very good at understanding when he's doing something which is better than what the opponent is doing, even though both of those things are great, or even though both of those things are bad. Like when you compare two weird types of trades, which normally players just would never go for, Qiyou is very good at judging those. And so this is the kind of thing which he can judge and clearly see as a mistake, just as much as he can see as self-Atari is a mistake. It's even if you see that you had to self-Atari for whatever reason, it's still painful, right? You can't do it easily. That's probably what happened to Qiyou here. So yeah, White could play like this. This is so painful. It's hard to continue to play. Eventually he had to Atari here. And like this, then he's going to be alive. He does have eyes, I believe. I'm pretty sure he's alive. Yeah, okay. White agrees he's alive. If White connected here, then Black could make an eye like this, and then it would be me eye between A and B to make the second eye. So either way, there was going to be one eye somewhere, and of course it can make the eye over here. So yeah, he was alive after this one, but yeah, Michael very satisfied to have saved his group in Sente while gathering more points and leaving more weaknesses for Black. Very, very successful variation overall for White. But yeah, Black saved it the best he could, and White played here.
So, game state at this point, what are you thinking?
Probably favorable to White overall. It's not that clean yet because White doesn't have a territory advantage yet. White definitely has a big thickness advantage. This group in the center is just a free, weak Black group, but I mean, there are some amount of counterplay that Black has available, some cuts back against this, and it's not that easy to just kill something like this. Like, it can be very weak, but that doesn't mean it's going to die. It's hard for White to prove a easy attacking advantage against it. So I think what White is doing here is he's trying to just press the Black territory back in the bottom right and wait. And ideally, this game transforms into one which is just as good as it is for him right now, but where everybody is solid and he has a territory lead. I think that's what Michael is trying to do. Just sort of forcefully give Black the territory and take his own territory in a comfortable manner against the center. And if it goes like that, if everything is according to Michael's plan and it's clean, even if Michael isn't gaining move by move, probably is going to be a White advantage. But there's a lot more to play for. I think Qiyou will never make you like you can't win games against Qiyou that easily. You have to beat him a few times in order to win the game. That's always how Qiyou plays. I like it a lot.
Get down and stay down.
Yes, exactly. Thought this is trying to fix the cut before Ko to kill the upper right. Is there a Ko over there? I didn't see a Ko over there. Oh, is there a M16 peep that I missed? Ah, there is an M16 peep that I missed. That is quite important. Okay, you know what? Actually, there is some significant problems there. So Black resists. So this peep here, I've just noticed. Sorry, it's a human commentary. Okay, we're gonna have some mistakes. I've just noticed this peep here, which means that my previous living variation was not going to be successful. Where if I just tried to live over here, then this is not strictly speaking alive for Black. Black would need to rely on this Ko in order to save the group. So this is the Ko that I suspect that Uber Dude is talking about in the Twitch chat here. It does look hard to do anything other than rely on the Ko. Oh, that is tricky. So if there's a Ko to kill that upper right Black group, then actually White is in even more of a commanding position than I thought. And it makes even more sense for him to just sort of try to force Black back and make this game clean. But of course, Qiyou resists. The Hane outside is required, especially if you're this far behind. I didn't see that Ko. If there is a Ko there, then this game is really bad for black. Like really, really bad. Qiyou needs to make this game as complicated as possible. And so that's what he's doing. And Atari and connect. Yeah, and we have the peep. So Michael did not miss it like me. Qiyou at least exploits white to get a shape win. However, those were also Sente moves that he could have used in a Ko. So it's a little dubious to get the... Like, these were all good forcing moves, like positive Sente, except for the fact that they lost Ko threats. So if you know that we're going to live with a Ko, it was probably not that wise to do that right away. This is an interesting asking move as well. It looks like it doesn't do anything when white blocks at S11. I'm not sure. White didn't block at S11. Okay. I am a weaker player than these guys, so I can make a lot of mistakes. Perhaps there's something going on with this. So this way, there would be a failure. Yeah. There's actually quite a lot of reading going on. This move is quite rare to see. Most of the time when you see somebody cut with a little bit of support, you would see them block with Hane instead, actually. But it makes sense not to Hane here. Because it leaves more short liberties, more general weaknesses. Just block is good because black can't connect under, says the chat. So it's true that black cannot cut like this because the cut here doesn't shorten the liberties. It's very pleasant for white that you have those two outside liberties and you would be totally fine. So there's no way for black to really establish a significant win here, I think. Although it's a little bit... you'd have to play it this way. And then, so this way you can see that black can't cut. And then black would have to fall back this way and you could connect. So that's the whole sequence that he read out. And it is actually a thick disconnection, that T13 move. And black starts the Ko and uses this as a Ko threat. Oh, you think T13 is wrong? I don't know what the chat is thinking. I don't know why. This is the moment where it's a fight over the life and death. This is where I need to get better. This is where I lose my games. I need more skill. I need an upgrade.
I'm a little confused. Why doesn't white just connect?
So if white connects at T18 here, I think this is what you're talking about. It's a good move to save, to stop black from winning the Ko very big. This move becomes black's Sente to capture the two stones. So when white answers like this, then black can connect. Now black is solidly alive. If white takes this eye, then there's this one.
Oh, there it is.
So
okay.
That's very pleasant for black compared to how it used to be. Yeah. So the chat actually says this one was... Oh, no. This one is good enough. Aha! This one is the move that the chat wanted. Because black cannot connect under like this due to white's ability to change the flow, play this way, and then survive. So this way, white would be able to make two eyes, and black would not be able to cut and capture those stones. White got a little thicker. It's still pretty dangerous, but geez, this is all very risky. Anyway, let's come back. So this clamping move, this is what Qiyou does to give you a +1 and 1. When Qiyou played away, and probably when he played this line in the first place and thought he was going to be okay here, he must have planned this S12. The idea that he had was that he can exploit the potential like diagonal weakness, the cutting weaknesses that white has, and the connection under, and try to get extra space to save himself. In general, these clamping moves are really good. They're really annoying. It's the same thing as this one, right? Where when I'm in double-digit Q and I see this clamping move, I think there must be some way to deal with it that I just don't know. I thought it was like overpowered, but it's the same thing where it's like it's actually overpowered. It actually is just good to camp this kind of thing, particularly when you care a lot about shorting the liberties of that stone. Like in this kind of situation, white played T13, and it's a significant problem to allow black to have this T14 move in Sente. That really is very, very painful. And so that's what Chad is talking about by like resisting this way. The goal is always to stop black from getting an eye on the top side from the clamp. But there were so many ways for black to go about it, so many different resources. It's like understandable to make an error here. Something that the AI doesn't agree with is not something I would be able to tell you as a human with confidence. I think it's something that the strong pros in Asia could tell you, but I can't tell you personally.
Mhm.
I don't have enough knowledge. So it seems like the game is here. Oh no, they've kept playing. Sorry. This is where the game was when I got the thing. Perhaps we can go on a break, a quick
Yes,
break.
yeah.
So
No,
I
you've
can
been working hard. So let me get us to the rotating boards. Hold on one sec. Rotating boards. That's not it. Hold on. Sorry. There we go. All right, let me get those. Studio. Okay, we're good. And we're back. All right, we're going to do a quick. When I say we, I mean you. Are going to do. I think it's very close, but I just took a quick look. But yeah, take a quick analysis of where we're at, and then just roll it back to where you left off.
Sure. Okay, so this is the current game live right now. The group on the top side of white needs to spend a move if it wants to live. This whole thing is alive for white. That's in the living group. This black will live for sure, although it's not alive yet. This white will live. That black's alive. This black's alive. This black's alive. This white has linked up by capturing these 3 stones. So ultimately, most of these groups are alive at the end of the fight. And in terms of territory, we can see that white ended up breaking up the entire bottom right territory as we are in the game right now. But black has gotten a big profit towards the top side with this group that was in threat of dying where we were reviewing. Now it's about to kill something. And it looks like black has quite a few pennies throughout the board. And white also has something to be proud of over here in some territories. It looks like it's going to be a close endgame with both sides having a pretty low point total. This is quite interesting. So we're definitely going to have to give a hardcore review of the endgame and actually count, find some good moves. Unlike the game 1, it seems like this is going to be down to the wire. But let's see how we got here. This is a huge series of trades. I'm very curious to see how this group. I mean, at the moment here, it should have been very bad for Qiyou.
And can I just say, I was so worried about that group from way back, and you're like, poof, poof, eyes are, 6 times don't need eyes, and I'm like, okay, all right, but can I just say that black group looks really sad at the moment, right?
It does look sad, but on the other hand, in the live game, it saved itself. So I mean,
I was wrong, but I'm just saying it's very entertaining. So thank you.
Yeah, it might take some drama to say this kind of group. Anyway, where we left off, white needed to find a co-threat. He played this piece P5 co-threat. That's a strong one. It's definitely a co-threat, and there's a couple more definitely co-threats there, but it loses quite a bit as well. And same thing with this co-threat. Definitely a co-threat, but not the kind of move that you'd enjoy playing. Black, in the meantime, is playing all the co-threats of these variations that we showed before. And in the meantime, he even allowed white this Atari. So you can see black is in a live by winning the co or bust kind of mode right now. So white, because black is being so aggressive, is going to play his biggest co-threats. Even though this loses a lot to play at R5, that's the strongest threat that he can come up with. And black was forced to answer to win the co anyway. This is how we got that kind of trade, I suppose. This is white managing to block off and take a big position in the bottom right corner. Meanwhile, black got really strong, really thick here. Later on, we're going to see him capture that R18 and Sente. So that's a lot of territory. But in the meantime, this white group, if it saves itself and breaks all the territory, it seems like that would be really good for white, since there's so many attackable black groups. Like this group is weak, that group's weak. These stones are nearly dead. Those stones are nearly dead. This stone is dead. It looks still like it's a disaster for Qiyou. So he can only turn it around by making this somehow into an equal and opposite disaster for white. That's the Qiyou way. That's what he does. This Atari, I actually really like. I think this is a great move. This asks white how he feels about the cutting point over here. And white probably doesn't feel like he can save the stone at N5 because that cutting point is just too weak. If this whole group gets isolated, it's going to die. And then all of these black groups, which were a bit nervous, will be naturally super, super, super strong. So that's why white comes back to counterattack. He actually cuts here, which is interesting. This is very similar to what we saw in game 1. The other cut, which was a really bad idea because black could Atari from behind and push from behind a few times. I actually think this is a very similar moment where black is Ataring from behind and getting tempo. So when he manages to capture here, he still puts pressure on the cut. This seems like Michael didn't learn his lesson from game 1. This seems like the same kind of mistake, to be honest. overall losing control of the game by going for a cut, which turns out to be an additional commitment. This is a common mistake, actually. It's something that really Michael should know better. But maybe I'm the one who needs to know better. I don't know. Maybe he's outplaying me secretly. But it seems really bad, right? Like when he has to spend 2 moves here and then connect here anyway, why did you spend the moves over there? That wasn't important. Now there's a fight going on over here, which black is going to pay attention to. And at least it seems like white lost a lot of initiative just now. I think this is not particularly clever counterattacking.
What would you like better for black?
Well, I like what black did. I think black.
I'm sorry for white. Yeah. For white. Sorry.
Black was in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
I think from white's perspective, we still want to target at this, but you want to actually fix the cutting point. Like you've got to spend the move fixing the cutting point at some point, and so probably you should just connect right away. It's possible to bamboo as well, but I don't really see a good reason to. If you just connect here right away, let black fix, and then you can spend a move in the corner. It seems like it's way better. Like white would get all the territory over there. You're daring black to come after you here, which seems much less possible than I mean the current game when black gets to play this Hane. Now I'm just speaking in quick judgment, right? I could be totally wrong. The players are spending more time on the position and they're better than me too, which is not fair. But it looks like this is really good for black. Okay, so by playing the Hane in the Tiger's Mouth, black is going to be able to make himself a living shape in the corner. But for now, he's feeling pressure that there could be some aiming at the cutting point from white here. And so what he's trying to do, like using the cutting point at A and the cutting points around B, there could be some shortage of liberty here. So one way I could imagine it happening, if black played to live directly, then white might play like this and here, asking black to block, and then white could even play throw-in like this. Oh no, not throw-in, but Atari certainly, and connect. And then obviously black can't cut because it's self-Atari. And if black comes back, then white would be able to connect here. Maybe it could be a trade, but it doesn't look like it's a good trade where black is getting surrounded on the bottom side. So the reason why black has played here is to try to thicken that. He's trying to expand the liberties of his stones here, cover the cutting Aji, and at the same time keep some pressure on the cut there. So he obviously can't push and make a bamboo for white, but getting to play A in Sente would thicken his shape so much. That's probably what he wants. And that's what white is going to deny. By playing here, white's trying to keep the shortest liberties available. And black came back to live in the corner anyway. So this is how that happened. Aha. So after playing like this, black should be alive. That group, excuse me, it has a lot of space. It's not really possible for white to fight back against it. There were other ways for black to live here, but this is the widest. It gets the most space, which is usually the most flexible. White plays push, black needs to block, and white played push here. So this is using the shortest liberty that black has because because his 5 stones have all of their outside liberties filled. That's a permanent fixture. White can Atari, and there's nothing really black can do to keep these stones from connecting to those stones. So even though in the game actually black allowed the 5 stones to die, white didn't capture them and connected instead like this. So this is the full trading. That's because white needed to connect underneath. And in the meantime, there was no way for black to resist because always, like if you tried to short liberties of the white stones, your own stones were shorted. So you'd only be able to connect back anyway. So in the game playing like so, this just reserves a co-threat for black later. This will still be forcing. It's better. I think this is a well-played sequence where, white was trying to use the shortage liberty, black was trying to prevent the shortage liberty, and at some point, like if black had just fixed the shortage liberty, you would just die in the corner. It wouldn't be big enough. At some point, you just have to let the opponent get a weakness of yours, and that's what happened here. I don't personally see any improvements over this fighting. Just a well-played sequence for both players.
And hasn't white kind of got himself back in the game?
I mean, he's managed to save himself. He was maybe not that out of the game when this happens, Like there is some. It's possible that there was some chance for a co and crazy win for black, but yeah, in the end, ultimately, this white group has managed to crawl back somehow to not die. It's at least not like a complete loss. Um, when you think of originally the way that the group looked, like around here, and then eventually it crawls back on the first line, and black gets all the territory around it and gets alive here. I don't think it's a satisfying result. I still think that white lost control with this area, but it probably didn't pay that much to black. So that's why I guess this game is close. From the judgment I had. Both players not gaining that much. These pushes are so satisfying for black, by the way. If you guys can't feel this, you should learn to love this kind of push from behind. This is absolutely lovely from black. What white is getting is something he already has. Nothing new, right? And what black is getting something he didn't have. He's getting power in the center. He's getting thickness where he was not thick before, and control over an area, which is really valuable. I mean, that's an area with a weak group, and that means it's double purpose. So these pushes from behind are just they're so happy for black.
Daniel's comment about the AI is interesting, wanting white to capture and give up the corner.
Oh,
wow.
Okay, so that was a possible way where white could have gained the extra points,
go after the center group,
given all of this away in order to get Sente, in order to turn, because the turn is just so good, because the pushes from behind are so good. The turn, absolutely lovely in its own right. Yeah, what white did was Gote, right? So ultimately he had to spend a move to save himself. And the other way, although this is way worse territorially, we're giving up way more territory than we're getting. It's Sente. White gets the next move, and white gets to push over here. So yeah, I can understand this being objectively better, but it's the kind of thing that as a player, like, you really want me to not spend my Gote to save my group? Like I can see it right there, and you want me to not save it?
It's 30 points. You're giving away, 30 points cash for something.
For something, exactly. It would be easier if you could see clearly, right? Like the AI can do it because it can see and judge exactly how much I'm going to get out of this, and how much I'm going to get out of the attack, and how much I'm going to get out of initiative that maybe I can even play to finish entering the end game with a move in the upper right. Like that would be the dream.
So it's not that white is going to kill black. White is going to swell that lower left territory and has got Sente, and that the AI is saying that's worth at least 30 points, which feels right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can totally see it. I can.
You wouldn't play it either, though, would you?
If you told me that this is correct according to AI, I would play it. But if it's just me sitting there, you believe all sorts of crazy things when you're sitting by yourself at the board, right? Like there's all sorts of. It's very easy to make mistakes when you're making huge trading judgments like this, especially about entering the end game. Like it's really, really valuable to be the first player to play in the end game, but how valuable exactly? Like how much can I give it away? Just dying with a group. I've done this a few times where I like sacrifice my group in order to get Sente, initiative, control, endgame, all this stuff. And sometimes I'm thinking I'm brilliant, and it actually was, and it was great, and I feel so good. But sometimes I think I'm brilliant, and then I died, and I look in the game afterwards, and AI says, "Just don't do that, and you were winning." And then I lost. And I'm like,
you can't tell which
that
is
feels
which.
way worse. It feels so bad to just throw, trying to do something cool, trying to be a good player. Just play like a reasonable human and let it be sometimes. But I guess this is probably from Michael's perspective. He'll look at it and think, "Oh, I'll just judge it better." Like most kids will have that kind of ambition that, "Oh, I'll just do it better," and then and then there's no problem as long as I just do it correctly. I think it's the right way.
He's got the chops.
Yeah. So
that's huge, right? That's huge.
That's really huge. It was so satisfying to push here. It was so satisfying to play here. This is It's possible for white to ignore, so that's why white was like hesitating for a while. But if you ignore, you're letting black kill all of that area, which is very big. If you want to know how to count how big it is exactly, well, obviously when white answers, then it's going to be alive, and when black plays, I guess we can pose it as a question to the viewers: how exactly should we kill this group as black? Presumably P19, says the chat. Exactly correct. This is the best way to kill.
That was what I was
because this
looking at.
kills.
P19 looks really fatal.
Yeah, it kills very fast. It's better to kill fast than kill slow. I think you could also kill by playing like this and just sort of slowly,
Ooh,
walking down on it.
yeah.
But if you did like that, then you would give a lot of co-threats and a lot of ability for white to resist. So killing this way, I think it's a bit better. This creates a short liberty where white cannot, cannot keep playing.
That's a classic Go problem.
Yeah. So obviously the difference is either white can play here or black can play here. How big is it is actually pretty easy to count. You just figure out how much space that there was under the living stones. So it's like how many points could white get? Roughly speaking, it's like 16 or so points that white can put stones there. Yeah. And if black would play, then black could put stones there everywhere. So if you know how Chinese rules counting works, then that means this is roughly speaking 32 points.
Damn, I was
difference, except both players spend a move.
I thought it was 31.
So since both players spend a move, it's actually going to be 30. Or it depends on how exactly you're going to treat these areas. Since white, you could say white gets the right to play A-B exchange when they live. And you could also say that black gets the right to play, like when white lives, there's still going to be some fancy endgame going on here. I haven't read it all out, but roughly speaking, this is a 30-point Gote move here.
The question is, does white have a 30-point move to make somewhere else? 30 plus point move to make somewhere else.
Right. And you'd actually be surprised by how many massive moves there are often in games like these. So it's likely, for example, that if white pushes on the center area, and that's Sente, so like the follow-up would be so strong that you could kill the group, then if you imagine how big that move is in comparison to a Gote, is probably more than 30 just to force black back. And same thing to even moves like the diagonal move here, or moves like attach, just generally putting pressure here, or even moves that put pressure on this black group, which still can make an eye in Sente, but still is under pressure. Yeah, 30 points Gote is very, very big, but there can be bigger things. It's possible. We'll see.
Well, what about just instinct for you? Are you defending or not?
Oh, if it were me, I would defend. I would take the group. I'm not going to go on any of these expeditions right now, and I want to make black do the heavy lifting of figuring out where the big endgame moves are. Right? I think that's kind of hard, so I like to take big Gote moves and test my opponent to find a good endgame move. Often, like the way to put pressure on your opponent in Go, often instead of trying to do it on purpose, you should just let them play Go, because Go is really hard. So you can just put pressure on them by finding, here's a Go position, figure out what to do. And they don't know. You don't know. Nobody has to know. And you can just gain because they made a mistake. They didn't know what to do. So if you can see a very, very big move like this, then I often like to just play it. It's also what Michael Zhu did in the game. So yeah, in the game here, let me just get the moves after this. So black played this peep, and that put some pressure on white. It's a bit awkward to figure out how to answer, since you do want to keep some counterattacking pressure on black, but Michael was passive. He just peeped, or he just connected the peep, waited, and black played the connection in the corner. So this gets a potential additional eye, as well as being very, very thick, or very, very big. And now Michael chooses to counterattack and push into the center. we have black blocking in the center, making sure to keep the space. Yeah, it seems like, honestly, this last 5 for 6 exchange was good for Qiyou, in my opinion. I don't see a reason why white, who is very thick over here, especially after connecting, needed to only just play diagonal. I think you should have tried to play a bit faster there. There were some weaknesses of black, and we should have been able to get in here deeper. And when you let black block this wide, it becomes impossible to show that there's only going to be one eye there. There's like too much space, so black can always play around you. If you got that space to be smaller, then you could actually use future Sumego resources. At least more likely that you would use them.
You think he's something like E11 or F11, something?
These would be good too. Yeah,
Oh,
these moves are very important. But yeah, just coming in a way which, like, the main point is, in this way, black got to block very wide.
Mm-hmm.
And your main concern when you're thinking about reducing is, how much am I getting? How much is he getting? In this, like, when you play the diagonal, you're not really getting much, and your opponent is getting plenty. I don't think it's enough. I think we need to push harder. Like, you could play like this, for example, as well. In this way, I would be expecting something where the threat is to continue to come in and continue to put cutting pressure. So like black has no time to play here, because I'm going to try to cut you and kill those stuns. So that would mean that black has to fall back something a little deeper. And when black has to fall back a little deeper, I can use a little bit more life and death resources against that black. And also, when I blocked, then I got this as a bonus potential, like a little bit extra life and death resource as well. So I don't like the diagonal. I think it's a bit soft, and let black block a bit wide. And then after that, Michael just went down and broke the bottom side. This is obviously aiming at attacking the black group over here. So black decided to spend his Sente move, which he has the right to on the right side. After connecting, white connected to try to get more pressure into the corner. And black blocked. So black is going to try to solidify the corner here. By blocking, he makes it so that he's more justified in answering by giving white more threat against him. So this 10, sort of just a free, it's good to exchange 10 for 11 if you can, when you wanted to eventually answer 12 anyway, to fix any annoyances. Oh,
does need a second eye, doesn't he?
He does need a second eye here. White also needs to be able to save this group from a shortage of liberty. Like, he's filled all the liberties at this point.
You're right.
So white played here.
Yeah.
To come back.
Because otherwise there's a throw-in, right?
There was going to be some kind of shortage of liberty. I think that black is best served by reducing all the moves from the outside, like playing all of these outside moves and making white spend the moves inside. So the connect is just one of the moves that you'd have to play. It does help a little bit against the throw-in. But after that, black played to fill an additional liberty here. If white would ignore, of course, black would just play A, B, and kill. So white did not ignore. He didn't die. Good on him. And now black played here. We mentioned this way earlier, and I said you can just get it in the end game anyway. And now that's happening. It's the end game, and he's getting it. Because he got this pair of forcing moves on the outside in the bottom right, he should be totally alive now. It should be one eye and then an additional eye either in the center or like on the bottom side of that. So he doesn't have to worry so much, and it's really, really big to be playing more big endgame moves. White just answered, and black pushed here. We have white block, and black played this one. So that was Sente because it was aiming at the cut here. Particularly after black pushed at 18 that cut became even more valuable, shorted the liberty. So white needed to fix. And black eventually played here. This was his biggest endgame, according to Qiyou. I kind of agree. Like, if you didn't play there, another tempting move might have been this one. But white playing here, you would be forced to eventually make that second eye some way. This is probably not that inefficient, although it looks very crude. White stealing away the bottom side territory is annoying. If white starts making points there, compared to when black plays here and black can start making points there, it's a really, really big shift. Probably bigger shift than you could do anywhere else on the board. So honestly, maybe white should have tried to play here quickly himself. He's sort of lost some value, I think, being too lacking initiative, being too passive in this endgame so far. He's answered things he needed to answer, but he hasn't made anything happen against this black group that would have made him healthier, or made anything happen against this black group, which would have gotten him more resources. I'm talking about these situations. Sorry. It's like you can lose a game by being slack. It is possible. It's like he doesn't really feel like that ever happens, but it does happen, especially to players of his playstyle. It happens a lot. So he captured, but this is sort of like too late to capture now when he already spent the moves defending in the upper right. The capture is nice to mean that you wouldn't have to defend anymore, but you already did the defending and lost the big territory spots. He plays this clamp. Black just fixes. Didn't really gain anything for white. And white pushes and plays the diagonal. So that was a really big move. I was mentioning it earlier. Definitely important. However, because black pushed and he got his potential additional eye here, he is going to be alive even without spending a move, so he spends it pushing. In general, a lot of people will jump here too early. You don't want to jump whenever you would have to pay for the first line cutting points that you leave behind afterwards. So in this case, the only way for black to save the stone at 32 would be to connect at all 4 of the highlighted points. Just can never happen. So pushing is way, way better because you might not have to pay for first line cuts if you don't make them, if you just push. Whenever you're trying to get your own stones to be strong, pushing is better than jumping. Jumping is better for reducing your opponent's area. So white pushed in the center. Black played the Hane, trying to expand his area as much as he possibly can. White blocked here. It would have been really painful if black could make an eye on the left side and then not have to pay for his cuts ever. So the block, definitely a big move from white, but it meant that black got the timing to block over here as well. This game is probably still close, but I think we might be headed towards a Qiyou endgame victory. If my understanding of the endgame is correct.
It feels a smidge better for black, doesn't it?
Just a little bit. Maybe it's time to count. I think we've caught up with the game here. I can try to count. My counting has been inaccurate sometimes before, but sometimes it's good. We'll see. Oh yeah, I have black up and not that close anymore. I could be counting incorrectly. Let me try to count it. Wait, one more time.
It's one of those hard ones to count. I have it within a couple of points. I think maybe
I have like black by 5 or so right now.
5.
I don't
wow.
know.
Okay. All right. Okay. I thought it was a couple of points, but
it could totally be a couple of points. My counting has been very wrong before.
Well, when there's lots of little pieces like this, it gets hard for me to count. So
It gets hard for everybody, I think.
Daniel says SC as a 1.5 favoring black.
Okay, so I overcounted black. Yeah, so I just clicked on it as well. So black leading by 1.5 points according to Score Estimator.
Hmm.
Yeah, who knows what endgame Tetsuji that the AI expects. But I think mostly it's white who needs to gain in the endgame in order for this to become a 1.5 pointer. And white does have the opportunity to do that with a few weaknesses of black, lacking control of black. And you can see him going after it right now with this clamping move. So he played the push at 39, which is very good to try to block off a little extra area here in the future. That would be wonderful. But the clamp move here, finally, he's using the potential weakness of this black group and trying to counter, trying to push it back. So use the weakness to make black eventually be defensive, get a little bit more value for white. Of course, Qiyou always with the counterattack, with the pushback. This is what he does. Oh, it's a bit tricky, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a bit tricky for white.
Very
Still.
tricky. Because a black move at E9 is a problem.
Apparently, white just went tisk and shook his head when he saw F9. it's because he doesn't have a great move against
it. It's a great counter, man.
Yeah.
I actually feel like this is a really strong part of Michael's game.
Yeah, I agree. This is a moment where Michael is playing better than the field this late endgame. This would be one more endgame save to keep his tournament life alive. Well, I don't know if he can do it. This is really tough. Really, really tough.
Right, but I mean, you got to like his chances because I think yep, there you go. There it is. But I think black can just, I think the push at E9 is too, because if he gets the turn, maybe I'm overestimating.
He could do that, but he may as well just block it first because he can do that whenever he wants, and he needs his base to be secure. This is the best order for black. And there's still a little tiny bit of pressure on this group. It could, in theory, have to pay some moves.
I mean, I've read it real quick. I mean, there's definitely two eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be safe, but white might be able to get a little bit of a squeeze against it in the future, like some kind of a Sente endgame. White's gonna need to rely on those kinds of tricks in this kind of game because he's not doing well if he does nothing. White doesn't have enough points just naturally on the board, especially after this kind of exchange, and you lost a little bit more potential basically on the bottom side with this, black getting to reduce this stuff for free in the future. Wait, okay, just Atari
I'm sorry,
here.
which stuff? Oh, okay, yeah, Atari.
I'm just talking about black having the potential reductions there, the normal moves to reduce. Before white had played that, white could have blocked all that stuff off and taken it. Of course, that would have given black more area, so I don't mind what he's done here. But I do think that this Atari is a little slow. I understand what he's thinking is that the capture in Sente reduces some black area, plus it connects him so he doesn't have to owe some moves, which is pleasant, and denies black the chance to push through, which would be very valuable if he got A. So like you can imagine if white totally plays away, then black could push and then Atari, which could be very annoying to force white to answer. So maybe it's valuable to Atari here, but there's other very valuable moves on the board as well. It might be the biggest, but it feels bad to lose Sente here. I'm sure that now black is going to try to find a way to win this game, to end the game in his control. Oh, this endgame is going to be very, very serious. I think it might be time for another break to.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I agree.
okay.
Let's take a little break, and yeah, because there's I mean, if it's really a point or two, there's a lot of play still here. A lot of play.
Yes.
A lot of play. All
Yeah.
right, let me take us off mic. All right, union mandated break is over. Thank God for the union Go commentators. So yeah, they're still scrapping for every point. Yeah, and there's some interesting, scary looking cuts over in the lower left. I can't work out if anything works though. I thought so. It's possible that I didn't. Let me just double check.
For example, in the North American professional qualifiers, not to become a professional, but qualifiers for the World Championships. North America gets a couple of spots in World Championships, and we're going to send our pros to those spots. So the pros who win the qualifier and get to show up in the World Championship will be making some money there as well. I believe the further you go in the World Championship, the more money you make, but even just appearing in the round of 32 or so is also a prize pool. Yeah, in general, becoming a North American pro, there are a lot of advantages. It's a big thing that we're fighting over here. And Qiyou is so close, but this exchange, he played Hane and got cut, and then played away. This may have thrown it for him. This is honestly really amateur. I don't know why this happened. If he would just later on reduce like this, then, well, White wouldn't have a point at 2, and he wouldn't have a captured stone at 2. But now he has those 2 things. So that's 2 extra points for White. And Black gets some benefit out of that. He can use that to play some forcing moves. So moves like A, for example, are going to be Sente, and that might do something for the endgame in the bottom left. He might be able to make some kind of a push and cut. If he can't show it, that he directly got the value out of exchanging this first. Like if he couldn't just push a B by itself anyway, if he couldn't do anything else that he wanted anyway, this could just be -2 points from a game which we thought earlier, when we looked at the Katago score, Black is only leading by less than 2 points. That could be the moment that loses this game for Qiyou if he loses in the end game. We'll have to see. First, he plays a couple of Sente moves in the bottom right. He plays the push. Oh, this is where we just were as I started here. And he plays the cut. So this is as I expected. This is the only way that you would be using the cut that he paid for. He paid 2 points for that cut. He better use it somehow, right? He played the cut, forced all these moves back, and then he only just played the Hane. This doesn't seem like enough. This just doesn't seem like enough. When White answers like so, you could have, coming back here, just played the Hane immediately. And if White was going to be really aggressive, then maybe now you would play the Hane and ask. But White probably wouldn't. White would just back off like this, and then you could have gained 2 extra points on the game. By paying for it first, he's made a really big error. And the end game continues. So he played push and peep here. And this is where we are in the game right now. Or is it? No, we continue a little longer. We have White connect, Black connect. So Black managed to connect under on the first line. That's really valuable. That's a lot of points. But White threw in here. That's very odd by White. meaning I'm pretty sure that's objectively wrong. And then, wow, he captured here. Okay, so by I'm pretty sure that's objectively wrong, what I'm talking about is that when now, wait, would Atari here, this hasn't happened yet, but if he would, then black is going to be scared of the Ko to kill his stones. He's going to want to save his stones like this. And then in the end, you can see white captured that one stone, but black has 1/3 of a point expected value to come back and you know, captured it back. So in total here, white has expected value 2/3 of a point capturing that stone. Meanwhile, if he hadn't thrown in here, which also does give black the 1 point and eventually gives white the 1/3, if white would just churn, which makes more sense, then black could play here and white could play here in the future. In this way, white captured the one stone, he didn't give away one, and there is no 1/3 of a point or anything for black. So this is 1/3 of a point better than the other way, I believe, right? The other one was, yeah. Maybe this is 1 1/3 point better. I'm not exactly sure. All I know is that in general we don't do this kind of throw in because it costs a point, and then you're just helping the opponent to defend their 5 stone anyway. So like from an action standpoint, we didn't do anything. You didn't make progress. I actually haven't ever counted it properly before, and I'm confusing myself. Counting and doing hard math on stream is difficult. I will refrain from this.
Kudos for giving it a shot.
Anyway, in the game, wow. Okay, in the game, after throwing it, white captured and then played here.
Whoa.
Decisive looking endgame shot where his goal is that black will connect, which is what happened. Obviously, the better goal is to double Atari. So black was going to connect and stop that. I believe the goal is to make black play here so that in the future he can play A, threatening to play a B and lose black 1 extra point. So like the idea of this move at 16 is to force black to spend 1 extra point inside of his area compared to if you would just do it naturally like this. In which case, yeah, I think A and B are a relatively clear Miai. Although you could probably still get the inside point. It honestly, he might have confused himself and not really been doing anything here. It looks like it might not be that effective, what he's going for. If you tried to attack extra hard, and like use the Ko, you can't stop that from getting the second eye. So it's got to be an outside resource, but it looks like this might not have been that effective from white. So in the actual game, we have this exchange. Excuse me. So in the future, black gets to play at A and cover this all if he can. So like that is a Gote move that black can play. And that's what I think that white might have lost in this sequence. It looks like it was a small error in the endgame. And now he's played in the upper left. So obviously it was not very big, whatever is going on over here. Just a point or two max. And this was much, much, much bigger. This is very important. In the future, white can connect it D19 and Sente as well. But the main point is that we blocked black from getting any of the points in the corner. And also can potentially get more for ourselves on the top side. Certainly very large. So black pushes. This is as expected. Similar to how I was discussing, you don't want to jump when you would have to pay for the cuts. Similarly, you don't want to slide in these types of positions where you yourself could get some territory, because having to pay for the connection back could lose you the potential territory that you can get if you push. By pushing and asking for white to block, then there's more potential territory on the top side. And if white wouldn't block, there's even more potential territory on the top side. So this push is definitely the local best move for reduction. And I think globally speaking, this is probably the biggest area as well. I think this is the correct move. Yeah, we're now in a very, very tight game. This is an extremely tight endgame. This is the kind of endgame which, if I were a really good player, I could give you some excellent commentary on. But I honestly just don't know. It's kind of exciting in its own way as well. White is throwing in here. I think that White has used these throw-ins in the bottom left as time Suji.
I agree.
He's probably in Buyomi now, and he's just trying to get more time. They're both losing a little bit of value, though. I personally never use time Suji when I'm in endgames like this. I'll just like leave a move or two that I think was okay, and I'll play it if I have no time left. Maybe I'll pick a big Gote or a Sente move, something out like that. He might have done that with these moves in the bottom left as Sente moves, but I never pick Sente moves which are losing any value because I've played time Suji before and then lost the game to the time Suji and realized it. It's such a bad feeling when you're like, oh, if I had known before playing the time Suji, I could have won this game. But now, yeah. Doom yourself either way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is oof.
Feels like it might have slipped. It might have swung back a bit to White.
I mean, perhaps certainly the black, like the left side, made it swing back to White. The black, this was
F8.
inexcusable for Qiou's level. This is below his level to be. I mean, this is the kind of thing that I actually often see low Dan students of mine make this error where, it looks tempting to cut. Like you get way more resources when you cut compared to when you headbutt a tiger's mouth.
But you have to read. You have to read it. You have to read it out because otherwise you just lose.
Right. So if you do this kind of thing, it's an investment, and the investment has to pay off. You have to ensure that it pays off. Many players are used to just investing and hoping. That's common at like low Dan level. It's not common at high Dan level.
It's a bad practice in any context, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. We don't just invest for hope, buy lottery tickets. No. We try to play the game well, and yeah, that lottery ticket not hitting is really, really not feeling good for Qiyou right now. He plays the attach here. This was another extraordinarily large area. If he wouldn't have gotten here first, when White plays at A, it's so many points.
Yeah, but I've been eyeing that for a while. Actually, that's huge, right?
Yeah, it really is. So it's gonna be Gote, but Gote, oh, I don't know, Gote 3.5 points, something like that. It's quite a big amount. I don't know whether they're going to play this way. Oh, they didn't actually. White played wedge first, and then is going to connect. I guess it's the same.
Is it?
Looks like it's going to be the same as long as White connects now. When Black connects, White will have to connect, force Black back. And this is very similar to if White would connect and Black would come back, like so. So it looks like it's the same thing, but this is just slightly more forcing, which is maybe an improvement over my way. After this, White is going to have Sente. And it's a bit hard to find the next big endgame move. White doesn't have anything that matches this. This is a little bit of what they call Tedamari, where the final big Gote can be winning, can gain you a lot. Yeah, it's going to be actually very interesting to see what exactly White does once this all happens. I think they're both spending a lot of time on the moves which they've already known what they're going to do, to use more time in their Buyomi to calculate the end game. It's so important to know which player is ahead, which player needs to press, what the biggest next moves are. So certainly K2 is one of the big moves. That one is going to be white Sente. It's not going to be the thing that white doesn't go to. And similarly, the white can put pressure in the upper left if he wants. He can reduce it the left side, those Sente moves that we've seen before. But now is the time where you have to do stuff like calculate exactly how big is C and how big is expected value from D. And black can start resisting Ko's if they're going to lose, if they would not, right? It's the type of endgame which actually presents both players plenty of tricks to try to gain extra points of territory if they have the know-how and the courage to actually use the tricks, to use the dark magic. It's there. It's there if they know how to use it. I don't know how to use it, but maybe they do.
I don't know that there's that much left at this point, though. You get the upper.
So we had the white Hane connect on the left side here. This aims at wedge move at A, which can potentially get a few extra points as well. Basically, the things which are going to be the most tricky are the things which are Ko's that black can try to resist. Those are the endgame states that are the trickiest from here. But it's probably hard for black to do too much of that because they'll have to pay. Like, there's a lot of co-threats for white in the bottom right corner, I think. At least 2, maybe only 2. I think there's maybe more, but hard to figure out. It's hard even for pros to count these positions accurately. It's absolutely true. You saw me be off by a couple of points earlier. That was before things settled down. But the reason why I was off was because I didn't understand exactly how valuable some of the should I call them squishy areas, like the areas that change are, right? So like I didn't understand how much was happening over here. I didn't understand how much was happening over here. With this, it's like hard to anticipate some of these precise endgame details. I got a few of them wrong for sure.
Well, that looks like it looks like they did too.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. It could all turn out well here in the end. Let's see. So black played the Hane here. That one is unusual, I think.
Normally just straight down?
Well, black is playing this as if it's a 2-point move, which it normally is on the edge, because white, if they blocked, would get a point behind, and black, if they block, will get a point behind. But the problem is that the black blocking getting a point behind is not that clear. So if white had played at G19 himself, then as black, you don't feel like you have to play to get a point at J19. Like you could try, but it's also reducible. So that means that this is slightly smaller than your average 2-point move. I think it might be 1.75 points to be precise, but don't quote me on that. Tough, and I could just be wrong as well. It's a little odd to choose a 2-point move that looks like it could be smaller when there were other moves that looked like they should be just fine size. So, for example, there's a relatively big thing happening on the left side here, where white should have this in Sente, and then white should have this one, which can give pressure for a ko like this, which white can try to use to get an additional bonus 3 points. Black can deny that ko, and in doing so, if he connects, he would not have to spend a move inside anymore because he has these 2 liberties. So you could think of this move as like 4-point move if the opponent would guaranteed win the ko, which is not actually how it's going to happen. However, since white does have quite a few co-threats throughout the board, I feel like it's kind of close to what would happen. And really what would happen is that black would just get a big endgame while white wins that co. So I think this one is like a bigger than average 2-pointer. I could be totally wrong. This is this is the dark arts endgame, okay? It's really hard to mess around when you know that moves are approximately the same, but you know one of them is a little tiny bit better. So in the actual game, we didn't have this resistance stuff. We had white answering and then Atarying actually here. That denies black some co-threats, maybe. It gives white one more co-threat, but it was usually going to be white having more co-threats there anyway. And now white is going to try this block thing. So this is going to be complicated. This is it seems like it's a good way for white to put pressure that he can win this game. I think he's doing this. Yeah, I think he's sending it on the co. I think he's going to be finding himself rich in co-threats and maybe rich in points by the time this is done. Perhaps we're going to see white play the bottom left stuff as his co-threat. Okay, he set it up properly so he could make a co-threat in the upper left. That was his plan. And then he's going to come back and recapture the co. Black obviously cannot die with the 2 stones. He could try to win the co under threat that his group can die at any moment. Like he can try to play absolutely massive co-threats. For example, this move at S11 is probably big enough that you could like endure this trade and win as black. I don't know for sure. That's kind of dubious, but you could try that kind of thing. It seems like that's not going to be the plan. I mean, I wouldn't do that plan if it were me. It seems like the chat on OGS is saying that black did indeed just lose a little bit. It's because this 37 was ever so slightly small and this 42 is ever so slightly big compared to the average size of moves, as far as I understand. I mean, this is we're talking about gaining and losing fractions of a point here, but I believe that Michael is doing it correctly and Qiyou is not. It is actually skill gap. So I think that Michael is going to start the co properly, but he could also choose to leave it. And if black plays here, it becomes a position where black has an expected territory of 1/3, playing at F45, being able to capture that. Yeah, of course. If you play here and then you win the co, then white gets 3 points as opposed to 1/3. That should be good for white. But only if you win the co and black is starved of endgame, actually. Oh my goodness, this is going to be intense still. Through the co-fighting, white can't let black get that big of a co-threat. And black is going to run out of co-threats, so he's going to be playing his endgame moves as co-threats, I believe. And the point will be that white cannot let black get that big of an endgame move, even as a co-threat. So white is going to be probably playing a little bit of the endgame while this co is going on. If I understand correctly. I think that's the only way for white to win this game. Wow. So we have
for white or for black?
For white, I think that, I mean, well, maybe white can win the game another way. White might have a slight advantage here, but the cleanest way for white to win the game, the best territory way for white to win the game would definitely be to keep fighting this co through the full end game. Oh my goodness. We have a huge swing. Instead of fighting the co over a small amount of territory, black has decided to fight the co over a large amount of territory. He's now put all of his stones here on pre for the co in order to win the co in the upper left. I don't understand why. That doesn't make sense, does it? Is there any reason why you would make a bigger cost? So what just happened is that black, white played here as a co-threat, threatening the co to kill these stones.
Right.
And then black just let that happen in order to win this co. But
Why
that
would he-
means that the
one,
ko
two-
now, if black loses it, is way bigger, right?
Why doesn't white just take the stones?
Well, I mean, black is going to play a ko threat. So that's what happened.
1,
Black
2,
played
3,
here
4.
as a ko
1,
threat.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 12 points.
Well, black played here as a ko threat, so that's a lot of points. That's more than 12, I think, in order to win. So white answered. Black is relying hard on, I'm going to win the ko now. He made the ko bigger. What the heck?
Why would he?
So now, I mean, maybe the plan can work now.
Maybe he
if
knows he's
white
gonna.
runs out of ko threats.
Maybe if he just yeah. It's go big. Maybe it's just go big or go home.
So white plays here, black connects. I don't particularly understand, but
And white's got 2 ko threats in the right corner. Well, black's got some ko threats against the white upper side group too.
there are some ko threats there which are big enough, but they all cost at least a third of a point to play on the top side against that group. So if you, for example, exchange just kind of A for B exchange, then on the top side, that becomes exactly 1/3 of a point worse for you in expected value, because when white captures at K19, they don't have to spend a move to save it. They can let you block a J19 and then play away, and they would still have a ko for it. So that's where the expected value increases for white.
Wait a minute. What happens if? Yeah, there.
So there's still a ko threat there. There's still going to be one more ko threat
Right.
for black there, and then another ko threat here.
1, 2.
So we have these 2 clean ko threats. After that, I think we immediately start getting into the dirty ko threats, the ones which lose value. So this one and this one.
No, there's one. There's a clean one at C8.
C8 is going to be a clean ko threat after the Atari, is it?
No, it's not. Never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind. My bad.
White would capture these stones to save
Okay,
themselves.
that doesn't work.
Yeah. So it looks like black has 2 clean ko threats and 3 point losing ko threats on the top side. Meanwhile, white has a couple of ko threats over here still. And yeah, well, it's not that clear how white will do this exactly. Maybe just the 2 ko threats are the only clean ones for white. So yeah, in the game we saw here, recapture, Atari, capture, recapture the ko, and white fought 1 extra step, and then recapture. And black is using his final clean ko threat, and will recapture. And now we get to the point where it's clear that white is running out of ko threats before black. It would be nice to force black to lose more points in the ko by like forcing them to play more ko threats, but it might just not be possible. Sometimes you just cannot continue. And white has to start thinking about, like, if I get 2 moves in a row, what are my biggest 2 moves? If I can't play a massive ko threat, if I can't play anything that would break. So in the game right now, yeah, white is hesitating, according to the scribe, which makes a lot of sense because white has run out of easy plans. He has to find something somewhat complicated.
I don't see it. I don't see it.
There should be a good way. I think that there.
He's got nothing against the center group. He can. I don't see it. He can take away 2 points. He can play T14 and K19 or Q19.
So, yeah, certainly we can play a couple of valuable points.
I'm just saying, I mean, I don't.
White uses a period. It seems like the thing is you don't want to lose you don't want to lose value at this point if you're white in the co. But you really want, oh man, there's so many different things going on. Oh man. This is very intense.
Yeah, which
I
is
believe there's a way for white. Wow, white connected here.
connected where?
Connected here.
Connected where?
This spot. He connected that co. That is very crazy. Black can obviously save the topside co, and then white decided to just play an endgame move. He thought those were the two best moves? Really?
Well, maybe white's just up.
There. So what he was talking about, I believe, like what he was showing, is that black has this as his sente once black saves. And then when black had the ability to capture here, that would be forcing for white to answer, and then black could reduce this as well. And black would be in the same time making a connection here, which can fix some of the problem on this side. So if black managed to connect, then it could fix the problem where black may need to spend a move in K10 in the actual game after white connects. So we thought all of these Aji together, they must be the biggest thing on the board other than the simple 2-pointers on the top side. And he connected at F11. But I think all of the Aji together add together to less than 2 points. I mean, that's just my judgment. Eric Yoder in the chat thinks it was slightly bigger, but I don't think so. Or maybe I actually can't understand what he said. It's too complicated, too strange. So the end result here, Wei has the right to capture this ko whenever he wants. And that will be Sente. And for now, we're just going to head into a proper endgame. This way, the ko's should not be very important in the endgame from here on out. White connected everything. Yeah, considering that White did spend some time and then eventually played into an endgame where there aren't that many ko's, the only ko remaining is this ko. Actually, even though White can capture that in Sente, it's still there on the board. We might end up fighting that ko to win the game. In which case, it would probably be black who wins the game, right? Because black still has a co-threat advantage in the form of some co-threats over here. But that only would happen if we run out of endgame moves in their correct parity, actually. That's the only way that black would get that final ko. Oh my goodness. Black is counting the prisoners and the lids, apparently. Oh my goodness.
They both have the exact same number.
They do. They do have both 18 captures each. So it looks like so if black would play here, black would get 5 points in the center. If white plays there, then white can Atari in the middle in Sente, and then ultimately black is going to get only 4 points in the center as white plays at B, which gives them an additional half point at C. So it looks like this point at A is 1.5 points. 1 point reducing black, an additional half point on the other side of your area. Then there's this point over here. That one, because black has an eye on this area, is just a it's just a single point, and these two will be Miai after that move at B becomes played. That's only 1 point. And then what else is there? There's obviously this part, but I guess after white plays at A, there will be an additional 1-pointer here. So the correct endgame is actually going to involve the fight over this ko. I believe that we will go to that ko to win the game now, as long as they play correctly. So white plays here. Now, yeah, black can either take the single point at A or at B. Both of those are in Gote, and white will take the other. And then black will play the connect here, and then white will fight this ko. And then, yeah, we're actually going to get interesting moment where we have an AGA rules Dame ko. This is going to be very exciting. So when white plays here and black blocks like this is the game. White can play forcing move here and play for the final I. Yes, this is what's going to happen. And then black can connect, and white can try to win the ko. But it actually matters in the AGA rules to try to get the last dame as well. Because of pass stones, whenever you pass, you have to give an opponent to the... whenever you pass, you have to give a stone to the opponent, which is in their prisoner bowl. So it counts as 1 point for them. So ideally, you do not want to pass first. If white passes first, then when black passes, white will have to pass again before the game ends. So it's really important as we play these dame kos that you try to make sure that you're the person who passes last. That can be sometimes even more important than winning the ko. So in the game, we had this I being taken, and then black connected, and white is going to capture and actually fight over the ko in this case. Black played a simple ko threat and recaptured, and white played a dame. So white played this dame here. Now black answered by playing a dame. At this moment, this is white sente. Let's see, how many dame are there? There's 1, 2. Sorry. I don't know how to count them. I'll just put triangles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, it looks like there's exactly 8 dame on the board. And so that means that if black had simply won the ko right now, then he would have been able to play the last dame. However, he did not. He chose instead of winning the ko to play at 101 here. So that means that white gets to come back and fight the ko. Black can play this one as a ko threat. Maybe he just used that to gain more time because he knew he was going to get a ko threat anyway. So he used that, came back. White played here as a ko threat, came back. Black used another ko threat, came back. And yeah, this is where we are in the game right now. I presume white's going to be playing another dame as his ko threat. Yes, he does. So white plays another dame as his ko threat. And now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dame on the board. So that means when black wins the ko, connects the ko, and white takes a dame, black will take a dame. And eventually the parity means that black will be taking the last dame. So white will pass first, black will then pass, and then white will pass again. So white will have to give 2 pass stones to black, black only having to give 1 pass stone to white after black wins the ko. That's what's going to happen. So here, white takes this particular dame, and we're going to head to counting. This is the best possible way that this final endgame could have turned out for black. If Michael calculated well when he resolved the ko, this should still be a half-point win for Michael. However, it's hard to calculate well. So it's entirely possible this became a half-point win for Qiyou due to winning the half-point ko. Oh my goodness, they need to count. White is very agitated. Oh, but white got the last dame. How did that happen? Sorry, did I miscount? Black played. Did I miss? Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There were 7 dame, not 6. I missed one over here. And so white is the one who got the last dame. Oh my goodness, I missed one of the dame. Sorry, guys. White was the one who got the last dame. And that's how white wins this game by half of a point. It was actually black who passed first, and then it was white who passed. And since white did not give 2 prisoner stones, but only gave 1 prisoner stone, Michael is going to win this game by half of a point.
I can tell because I'm watching the video feed, and he looks very... Oh, wait, we can all see him. He looks very happy.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Michael, 0.5 point shoe. Wow. Okay.
That's
That
crazy.
was sick.
That is
Sick
crazy.
ending. Absolutely nuts. Black
So-
is going to be kicking himself so bad for losing it right here. And this is not even that tricky. And then afterwards, he played so hard to try to keep it. And he made the ko so big because he thought he could win the ko anyway. Michael calculates very well, knowing he can win the game, even through this half-point dame ko. As long as he gets enough ko threats off of the dame. Very well done. Black didn't have enough ko threats to keep that going forever. And actually prevent the parity from dame from working out well in Michael's favor. Really, really well played. Oh my goodness, sorry. Yeah, the what a thriller. The game honestly was going really well for Michael in a large part of it. It was a bit of a scam by Qiyou to even get into a position where he could win. Very well done for Michael to keep his composure and win the game in the end anyway. That was wow. What a game. Wow.
Wow. Well, great commentary. Just and perfect one for for you. Actually, really an amazing game, and it takes us to a decider tomorrow. It also means that Michael has now won by I think it's a grand total of 2.5 points to get into to take himself to a final. Right? There's a half point in the first semi. 1.5 in the second, and now a half pointer here. So I think we're going to call him the Michael the half point king.
Apparently, wow.
But
that was yeah, that was something. That was sick.
Great blow by blow commentary, man. You were. I mean, I think I got about half of what you were going in the end there with the counting there. So really interesting example too of it mattering. Although I think that was I think that Qiyou was right to go. I mean, he did have more co-threats. So the thing that kind of we were both going like, why is he gambling it all on that? Actually, was the right call, which is pretty impressive.
Well, I mean, he didn't have to make that call. He could have done it the other way around as well.
Yeah, but like you said, he never goes simple, right? He does.
Yeah, I guess. Wow. Yeah. I mean, what a game. All the way from the beginning, this game was exciting. Very well played to both these players.
Yeah, and
congrats to Michael.
Yeah, congrats to Michael, and our appreciation, and congrats to you for really hanging in there. At a certain point, I was like, I don't know how much, but I knew you weren't going to be able to tear yourself away from it. So
this was sick. This is a pleasure to watch this game, and it's going to be a pleasure to watch Game 3, the decider for who becomes the next North American pro. One game to win it all between Michael Zhu and Qiyou Wu tomorrow. That's going to be tomorrow at 10 a.m. That's Pacific time, right?
That's
10 a.m.
right.
Pacific time.
1 o'clock Eastern time for. So hopefully, folks, maybe got an extra day after the holiday weekend. Don't have to go back to work, or It reminds me what I'd have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning on a work day to watch the Australian Open finals. So
it's not best of 5; it's best of 3.
Best of 3
in the grand finals.
Yeah. Well, really appreciate it. Thanks for hanging in there, and thanks for the really. I know this was not an easy game, and it was really great commentary measured right up to the quality of the game. So we had the right person for us. We appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure, as always, to cover anything, but especially games as awesome as this.
Yeah,
definitely. That was really cool.
All right, folks, rest up.
I'll see you later.
Take care. Appreciate it. Good night.
Bye-bye, everybody.
And we are
on.
Out.
Good.
Whew. What a marathon.
Yeah, indeed.
What a All right, now I got to write it up. It's not so hard to write it, except when it's exciting like that, it's a lot easier to write up a good report.
Yeah. I can imagine. Man. Oh, all right. Dina,
man.
am I on for tomorrow, by the way, or do you have
Actually, let me
Yeah,
check.
okay.
I've been just going sort of day by day here. Let me see who